Speaking part 2 of the first certificate is an activity that should take between 1 minute and 1 minute 30. You have 2 photos and a question. My first step, so when I teach this to my students, I use a structure and I write it on the board. Step 1 is aprovechar el tiempo, so make the most of your time. That means as soon as the activity is put in front of you, ignore the examiner. The examiner is going to explain the task to you and then read out the question. You know what you have to do. The question is in front of you. Ignore the examiner. You've got about 20 seconds. Look at the key language in the question. Read the question. Paraphrase that question. Look at the photos and think of vocabulary related to those pictures. Step 2 is a brief description. This is a task-related activity, so it's not a detailed description of the pictures. In picture 1, I can see lo que sea, and in picture 2, I can see language, key vocab. 10 seconds to 15 seconds max should be your brief description. Then go on to compare and contrast. In relation to the question, some people forget that it has to be related to that question. So if you do say something about either picture, make sure you're putting it in the context or referring back to that question. If not, you can finish the task thinking that you've done well and still only get 50% because you haven't addressed that question. When you're comparing and contrasting, use comparative language. I'm going to attach an info meme to this video. And speculate. Speculation means that you're not really wrong when you're talking about something, and it gives you room to maneuver. If you just think, right, this is what it is, you can get stuck and blocked more easily than if you're speculating because it could be that, however it might be this. We can assume that type of language mentally gives you space to room to maneuver, is what we say. And then finally, depends. The next step is to clearly answer the question. A nice way to do this would be to use a superlative type answer, or to talk about which one is your favourite. But it's kind of like a concluding phrase. So I'll include that in the info meme. That's the task. That's it, done. If you follow a structure, it means that you can control the time better. It means that you can use the same linking language to get yourself through, so there's momentum through the task. And it stops you kind of repeating yourself and getting a little bit lost along the way. My students practice this in class. We do lots of slow time practice where they're allowed to use their notes first and kind of look at the task. And then closer to the exam, we speed it up and we give them less time and do more real-time practice. It works. If, for whatever reason, you get to the end of that activity and you've done your 4 steps and there's still time and the examiner's looking at you like, say something more, use a filler phrase, and you can practice these filler phrases. A filler phrase should be full of good high-level content, and then it doesn't really matter what you then add to fill the gaps. An example could be, a simple one would be, if I were in their shoes, I would feel, list of feelings and emotions, pick one and say why. Or it can get more complicated, but something along the lines of, I happen to be looking up information for this exam the other week online, and I saw an article that said, boom, fill the blanks. Doesn't really matter. It's to fill that time at the end. Okay, practice using a structure. If you have any questions, let me know.